Hello, Williamsburg, and welcome back to another episode of Super Sound Showcase. My name is Gabby. We are sponsored by Culture Fix, and today I am here with Cultivated Mind.
Good afternoon, Gabby. Thanks for having me.
Hi, thank you for coming. So, first things first, you've been on the show before.
Yes, I think around either September or October, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. So what's it like being back? Because there's been a few different things going on, and
No, I think it's wonderful. I think I'm always appreciative to have the opportunity to come out and show the music and play and share it with people. So I appreciate that, and I think you guys are a great outlet for local and upcoming musicians around here, as well as famous bigwigs, and kind of put us on the same platform, which is amazing, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. So what's changed since you've last been here?
Not much. Better gear. Some new songs. We officially have a new album out. I've been working on it through my home studio. And originally used GarageBand, and that's what I've been using for everything. So hopefully the next album will step that up. But on a good point, it actually, the album No Quarter for Thieves, actually, I think some of the rough production lends to some of the older styles. So it's a bigger effort than we've normally done. There's 15 tracks and then like 3 hidden ones that are on there. But it's definitely a difference in style from the old kind of 80s rub-a-dub that we did. And now I'm kind of putting in more like spaghetti western music and flamenco and a lot of blues, because I like that as well. So difference in the sound, some new records, and some more in the works coming for spring as well.
Very cool. That is very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you just got back from tour, you were telling me before?
Yes. Because of schedules and school and everything, the band doesn't necessarily get together as much as we can. We're still going to be doing shows every couple months, but to kind of keep things moving, my manager sent me on a few solo shows, and went to Harlem, which was great, the Shrine, and what was the other one, Sylvana, which were extremely receptive and great, and Raleigh, North Carolina was amazing, DC, a couple places, mostly just East Coast shows, but been moving since November till right now, and I've got I think one in Maryland in a couple weeks too.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So I watched your interview that you had done previously, and you had mentioned very briefly that you started in a metal band, and now you're a reggae band. So how did that finesse its way into reggae? It's not the same.
I went to I was born in Newport News, in Hampton area, and then moved to Pocosin when I was in like middle school. So when I was in middle school, a lot of kids were listening to punk. We kind of evolved into heavy metal, and when I was a teenager, screamed in my mom's garage.
As you do.
Played guitar excessively loudly, and
yes.
I've always enjoyed reggae. It was something that like my mom and dad showed me. They weren't huge reggae heads, but it kind of slipped in with the new wave music they would listen to. So I got exposed to Steel Pulse and Police and things like that. Clash from my dad. So a lot of these artists kind of led me into the other stuff. I kind of had that on the back burner, and then I ended up playing heavy metal with a band called, her name was Vengeance, and they just went by Vengeance after a while, and because it's a mouthful, and everything was a phrase back then for band names. But I played in that, and it just got a little bit weird in terms of like what you're supposed to wear. And I love the music. I wasn't a big fan of like piercings and really tight pants. So but I love guitar solos and heavy metal drumming. So I played those for like maybe a year or two. I was in other metal bands as well, and then eventually, reggae finally won me over once I got some recording equipment and could experiment a little bit.
Okay, well that's interesting. Do you see a huge difference between East Coast and West Coast reggae?
Oh man, yeah. Is this a beef question? No.
We have a beef
I
with
do
them.
and I don't, because I think that you have exceptions in everything in every kind of camp. I think that you have a lot of East Coast guys who are emulating West Coast guys, and I think you got a lot of West Coast guys who are emulating East Coast guys, and I think we all got to remember that we're emulating Jamaicans and British Jamaicans. So there's always going to be that aspect of like, this is we're not recreating what do we call it? Not inventing the wheel.
Right.
But so there's going to be a lot of similarities. I think a West Coast usually has a little bit more of a shine and brightness to it. In terms of the subject matter and even the production, I think East Coast reggae is always going to have that kind of grit to it, and I think they're both charming in their own ways for the right occasion.
Sure.
Same time in Cali, you've got Groundation, were huge and as raw, rough roots as it gets. And over here, even in our neighborhood and up and down the East Coast, I ran into bands that really like the Cali sound, which is more poppy and chanty and kind of more like gets the groups kind of going bigger at the bars. So I see the benefit of both, and I also see artists on either side that are kind of flipping. So I do think there's a difference in sound if you were to try and summarize, but I think overall you'll still always have artists that are like really true to roots reggae music, and you'll find like even Expanders, big Cali band, sound like Cali, just beautiful harmonies and stuff. But if you also dig back to the Congos and you go to the really old your old harmony groups from Jamaica, they're kind of borrowing that idea. So you give them respect for at least knowing their chops, and they might have that kind of like happier sound, but they're still doing it the right way. So I think I'm just overall impressed with both coasts, especially recently now that everybody's kind of gotten away from the skateboard riding in the van thing and kind of got more into like the understanding of where the music came from. And I think both coasts are coming up with stuff now that's pretty impressive.
Very cool. So I know you hinted a lot that reggae is a very big communicative music.
Yes.
So you can say a lot through it. So what do you tend to communicate through your version of reggae?
There's a hard part with reggae because you're carrying the banner and trying to show respect to what helped you get through your hard times and what you know is good for the world and helps disenfranchise people. So I think there's a part of reggae that you have to understand that you need to sing about because that's part of where the heart is, and if your heart's not there, you shouldn't be doing music. So you got to analyze kind of on a bigger level of your community and then further. But at the same time, you got to balance that with being personal, being able to relate to the individual as well. So I think that's a lot of stuff in the music that I do is try to, show that I'm a human being. Some of the stuff is more bluesy than uplifting at points, but I think a lot of times I just want to show like it's okay to put your guard down and admit you're a real person.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in pop music and even some of the newer reggae stuff, there's this like a I'm invincible mentality, and like that's fine, but that keeps people on islands of themselves. And the more that you can put in your music that like, yes, I do see that there's problems around the world, and this is what I'm not doing to help it. How do we fix it? And admitting that maybe you could improve to help improve things on a greater scale. To me, that's like the focus of not just me, but a lot of artists that are coming out right now is kind of coming out and saying like, look, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Let's admit we've made mistakes, and let's move forward from there.
Right, of course. Well, that's really deep, actually. I'm glad that you view it that way.
I have it on a fortune cookie.
So, okay, that's where you got it. No, that really does, a lot of people I feel are very afraid to admit that. They like to be, it's a shtick to say, oh, I like to be vulnerable through my music because I got through so many rough times because of music. But like, there's something very genuine about how you just admitted that. That seems rare.
I'm fragile too. I don't like a whole bunch of people throwing rocks either.
Sure.
But I think as long as I think that's the funny irony is that you're going to show yourself to people and people are going to throw stones. At the same time, if you never show yourself at all, you'll never have that connection with the people who really need to hear your music.
Right.
And can feel from it. So if you can take that advantage and take a couple hits and still put your stuff out there regardless, I feel like that's what it really means. You're not trying to connect with all the knuckleheads. You might need to take some advice here and there, but your goal is to try and get it out there with it's a flare gun in the sky, so that way people can kind of see you and go, oh, I'm like that person. I'm not alone. Let's figure it out. So.
All right. Well, Tony, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to talk about? Any shows?
Yeah, I have some smaller shows this weekend. Shout out to my crew. We still play as a band. But it's going to be a little bit fewer and far between just because of scheduling things. And so I want to say it's the 28th or 29th. What is that? Last weekend in February. The whole crew's at Stuffed, and that's in Hampton. This weekend I'm with Saxman. Like I said, shout out to the crew, TC, Chad, and Javan and Mark, my homies. But Mark will be with me Friday at Bar Louie, which will be probably a nice big show. We'll have the horns with us. And
very cool.
And then Wednesday I'm at Craft 60, which is a watering hole. Been playing for a long time. And Newport News. And then University Pizza, which is like a small college spot, but I love playing there. And that's Saturday in Norfolk. Very cool. Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to hear some music from Cultivated Minds, so make sure you don't go anywhere. Once again, my name is Gabby. This is Super Sound Showcase, and we are sponsored by Culture Fix, and we will be right back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Super Sound Showcase. I'm your host, Gabby. We are sponsored by Culture Fix, and we are going to start off with which song?
Miss That Girl.
All right, let's hear it.
Thank you.
It's so easy to point the finger, blaming me for the feelings that linger. You promised me if you were stronger, you probably wouldn't stay much longer. While we fool ourselves that we're wiser, won't put our guns down even when our pride hurts. Though it seems like instinct to fight her, know my place is walking right beside her. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. No, 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 no. Never really knew how much I miss the warrior. I. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. Oh, no, no. Never really knew how much I miss the warrior. Oh, the sweetest nectar is the one from your memory. One who keeps reminding you of why you'd never leave. All the wars have taken their toll on a siege. Put down your guards tonight, baby, we could end this siege. Ooh, yeah. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. Oh, no, 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 no. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. No, no, no. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. Oh, no, 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 no. Never really knew how much I miss the warrior. It's so easy to point the finger, blaming me for the feelings that linger. You promised me if you were stronger, you probably wouldn't stay much longer. While we fool ourselves that we're wiser, we'll put our guns down even when our pride hurts. Though it seems like instinct to fight her, know my place is walking right beside her. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. No, no, no. Never really knew how much I miss the warrior. Oh, la, 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 la. Never really knew how much I miss that girl. Oh, no, no, no. Never really knew how much I miss the warrior. Oh, no, no, no. Ooh, Lord.
All right, no lie. While you were performing, I added that song into my Spotify playlist.
Oh,
That is excellent. Oh my gosh. All right, well, I am so excited. I am not even on my seat right now. I'm standing up. So what's next?
Thanks. Since that was a new one, I'm going to keep the new ones going. This one's a little bit heavier. It's called No Quarter for Thieves, and it's from the new album No Quarter for Thieves.
Very nice.
We come fi mash them down, and give them brimstone in fire. We chant them down. No quarter for thieves and liars, or make we burn them down, and give them brimstone in fire. We mash them down. No quarter for thieves and liars. Repent, my children. Your follies face your consequences. For uncouth and unholy living, the wrath of Jah will render you defenseless. Come make we go burn them down, and give them brimstone in fire. We chant them down. No quarter for thieves and liars, I'll make we burn them down, and give them brimstone in fire. We chant them down. No quarter for thieves and liars. Well, how come we're so cool-minded? By our own jealousy's been blinded. Purge your soul and find your light. Through mud and scales alone will you find your sight. And so we mash them down, and give them brimstone in fire. We burn them down. No quarter for thieves and liars, how make we burn them down. mash them down. No quarter for thieves and liars, ooh yeah. How, no quarter for thugs, no. Of soap in water, wash away the filth from your soul. Only the mighty head of the Father can take your shattered life and make it whole. And so we pull them go and give them brimstone in fire. We mash them down. Caught up of thieves and liars, we burn them down. And give them brimstone in fire, we chant them down. No caught up of thieves and liars,